Dr. Judy Bowman from Mensah Medical, and let's talk about autism and what you can do for your child. There's always something to do, and yes, you're in it for the long haul, but the rewards are absolutely gratifying. Unfortunately, autism rates are really very high and are climbing, and we are wondering why. We suspect there's something that we are doing to influence that. However, the story usually starts like this. There's a child that seems to just not quite be responding to what they need to respond to in terms of meeting their milestones, and the parents are starting to wonder if there's something going on here. What is that associated with? And very often we'll get questions from parents like, well, it seems like my child is behind a little bit. I took them to the primary care physician and they said the kid was okay, but we're noticing that they're not looking at us. They're not answering questions. They seem to be in their own world. Well, those are little hints that maybe there's something not quite right. And the rates of autism have gone from like 1 in 50,000 to 1 in 10,000. And I think today's stats would say about 1 in 37. And so that is something that you really need to keep a good eye on in terms of what's going on with your child as they're progressing through life. So now when parents come and see us, they usually already have a diagnosis and they're wondering what can be done about it. Well, in actuality, early intervention is always key. And so if you can get a child in before they're 4 years old, there's many things that can be done to really move that child really more towards a mainstream sort of development. What happens here in Mensah Medical is that we do biochemical testing to find out what is up, what is down, and then correct that. The idea is just really about balance. And when you do have balance, you find that the corrected balance will actually lead to and continue to have that child really develop in a more normal sort of way. The brain of an autism child is a little bit different. The brain develops from the top down and from the bottom up, and you can actually think about it as meeting in the middle. But when it does not, there tends to be what would be called like a suspended animation, where development just seems to stop. And that's when parents start to notice just the child was walking and talking and suddenly starts to do just the opposite, starts to crawl again, loses eye contact. And so all of those things are really shocking. It's probably one of the hardest things any parent can go to is to see their child regress. Multifactorial things are happening relative to autism. It's such a multifactorial thing that's going on. You have to attack everything at one time. And so it's really not a matter of, well, it's just the gut, and the gut, it's a leaky gut, and I'm going to fix that. It's not actually a matter of, well, the biochemistry is off and I need to fix the biochemistry. It's also just a plethora of things that need to happen. Parents have their children going through ABA, applied behavioral analysis. They go through physical therapy. They go through speech therapy, occupational therapy, and as well as here in Mensah Medical, biochemical individuality in terms of balancing their chemistry. So there's so much to consider. And it all really has to happen. That's just about at the same time and not piecemeal, one at a time. But what generally happens over the course of 6 months to maybe a year and a half is you start to see changes within that child, which really lead to more of a normal developmental development. And very often here we've seen a kid, I call it flipping a kid into like mainstream, more or less, which is the term that we use. And many times that child loses their diagnosis of autism, which is the best thing that we can ever see. But you really can't tell when that's going to happen. For some kids, it's a slow process. For other children, it seems to be a longer process. But if you can hang in there with that process, and you're really in it for the long haul, you can see changes that are actually quite satisfying in terms of having that child actually move and develop through life as if they never had that diagnosis. If you come in very late, what is very late? Usually sometime between the ages of 7 or 10, there's a little bit of a wiggle room or a gray zone in terms of development. But anytime it's after 10 years old, statistics for that child really developing a little more into the mainstream become a little less gratifying, but you will see some things changing. I believe that from the experience that we've had, the youngest child's probably been 2. The oldest person is probably around 60 years old. And even though they has the diagnosis of autism, there are things that are very, very helpful if you can balance that chemistry. Just on mood and demeanor alone, can that person go out in public and still be able to manage themselves? How do they feel? Like anybody else, they get depressed, they get anxious. Can you manage that? So there are things that can be done, and you never want to say there's nothing else you can do. By all means, there's everything that you can do, and it should be done in order to have that child have a sense of well-being, a sense of confidence, an ability to learn. Bottom line is, though, if it's early intervention, there's a much better chance for that child to have a good developmental milestone, gold star, put it like that. If your child is struggling with autism, don't hesitate to reach out with us here at Mensah Medical. We will do everything we can to help mainstream your child and have your child do much better than doing nothing. You have to do something in order for something to happen. And what we do is biochemical individuality. We will check chemistries to find out what's up, what's down, and balance those chemistries. And invariably, your child will do better.